we're working across a lot of the defense industry and on all of the services. We have contracts with the AFRL. They've been great partners for us on hypersonic technology. We have developed partnerships with the Navy and have contracts on our solid missile, solid rocket motor technology.
Yep.
We are in deep conversations with folks like the MDA, SMBC, PO, Missiles in Space, all to help fill some of the holes the United States has in certain technologies, specifically hypersonic technologies.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm happy to have you. And again, I said this to you before, but we're big fans of Ursa Major here on the show.
Oh, that's great.
We've had the pleasure of speaking to many folks from Ursa before, and all of us just really admire what you all do and what you're building and how you're doing it. So good stuff happening. So you all are busy. Booked and blessed, as I've been saying a lot lately.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Tell me a bit about what you've been up to lately.
Yeah, so just to kind of take a step back on Ursa in general. So Ursa was founded to create the next generation of propulsion system technology. And then looking at our recent successes with hypersonic engine and solid rocket motor technology, we decided to turn our attention to in-space propulsion. And the reason that we did this is that we want America and our allies to have reliable, affordable, higher performing access to space. So when people think about access to space, they normally think, oh, that's launch, right? Big rocket engines, launch companies. Actually, providing access to space, we need to think about that our economy and our security relies heavily on the space-based assets.
Yeah.
Right? And those space-based assets are known to have this importance for the United States, and our adversaries are putting those at risk. And so to mitigate the risk, we as a country, we're taking a distributed architecture approach, right? So you have proliferated assets in space to mitigate.
Yep.
But for that to work, those assets have to be replaceable, highly maneuverable, but most important, they have to be available. So this leads to the problem statement. So where we see the problem statement is that the current satellite industrial base has been optimized for highly complicated, boutique, complicated devices that take years to develop and years to deploy.
Yeah, yep.
And then painful supply chain lead times and brittle supply chains overall are standard operating procedure. What this does, this causes launch delays, cost overruns that could break business models. And then most importantly, just we can't make our mission objective. So what are we doing about it? So at Ursa, we are focused on not only providing high efficiency propulsion systems, we have developed an advanced design for manufacturing and integrated supply chain set of tools for key parts and processes. So what this means...
Yeah, tell me more about that.
What this means is that when the satellite bus providers want to have high performing propulsion, but they want something different because not every bus is the same. So they want something changed, want something tweaked. We've developed processes and tools that allows those designs to be updated, but to be qualified to meet reliability standards. But that period of time is not going to take months and years and millions of dollars, because that's what crushes people. We're talking about weeks and months. So between that design philosophy and then our heritage of unparalleled engine testing, we are going to give America and our allies unfettered access to space.
Yeah, you've all had some fantastic successes in the recent years. And I remember just in the last year, some great announcements about you all working with the Army and the Navy. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. We're working across a lot of the defense industry and on all of the services. We have contracts with the AFRL. They've been great partners for us on hypersonic technology. We have developed partnerships with the Navy and have contracts on our solid missile, solid rocket motor technology.
Yep.
And we are in deep conversations with folks like the MDA, SMBC, PO, Missiles in Space, all to help fill some of the holes the United States has in certain technologies, specifically hypersonic technologies.
Yeah. Just recently, President Trump announced an executive order about the Iron Dome. That has a lot of huge implications for our industry. I imagine you all, the antenna perked up.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to get your thoughts on what that means for you.
Yes, we are very interested to see where this is going to go because, at Ursa, we have a lot of very specific technologies and skill sets that would complement what the executive order laid out, specifically hypersonic propulsion technology to provide that kinetic offset that the United States is looking for in protecting our country. There's actually a pretty big hole and gap in what the United States can currently do, and Ursa Major is filling that gap. We have some very unique technologies, storable rocket engine technologies that are at TRL 6 right now. And with the help of these government agencies, we are working towards closing that loop and getting that technology into usable assets for the country. It's same thing on the solid rocket motor side. We have partnerships with the Navy and with other government institutions to advance some of the same concepts I was talking to you about before.
Yeah.
On the solid rocket motor side, we have developed a similar approach. Basically, the current business model for solid rockets is you stand up tooling for a certain rocket motor of a certain size, and if you change it, it takes millions of dollars and multiple years to stand up one next to it that has a variation. So for an agile capability, especially when the United States is working out the requirements for what this defense shield looks like, we're going to be able to fill the need and be flexible. So you don't have to wait multiple year after year to get different configurations as we work out the details. So we're going to keep a close eye on it, and we're going to see how the requirements pan out, and we're going to be ready to support.
It's fantastic. I'm given what you all build and where you all are in the industry, I'm so always curious to get your thoughts and perspective on the state of the supply chain right now, which is always, I know it's a perennial.
Spicy.
Yeah, I'm always curious to get people's perspectives on the supply chain. So your thoughts.
Yeah, the supply chain is a couple different lanes to think about. It depends on what your perspective is. If you are a satellite bus manufacturer, then your supply chain for propulsion are propulsion component suppliers. And it just at the subsystem level, what we see is that there's this huge deficit between supply and demand.
Yeah.
And there are so many satellite buses that are needed for this proliferated architecture. There's just not enough providers. So what's happened is that you have a lot of very intelligent, driven folks that say, hey, I'm going to fill that gap, right? And so they go ahead and stand up a facility, a company, and they feel the pressures to move fast. But what happens is that we've seen a pattern where, because the pressures to move fast, and a lot of these individuals maybe don't have the time to do the detailed, the devil's in the details of this stuff in terms of reliability, maintaining all of the design requirements, that the product doesn't do its intended purpose. So what you have a lot of startup satellite companies using startup subsystem companies, and then you have risk squared. So when they go and launch, anybody within that family of subsystems that fails, nobody gets to see if their stuff works. So we have this issue ourselves where we are being very selective. As we enter into in-space propulsion, we're being really careful to make sure that we partner with satellite bus providers that are paying attention to the details. And so we take that very seriously. And so I think that as this industry matures, I think a lot of those companies will, learn from their mistakes and get better. So I think that will help the supply chain at the subsystem level. As if you keep going down the chain in terms of like raw material.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah.
And the basic raw material.
Domestic supply.
Yeah, domestic supply.
Yeah.
The business that I had before in North Carolina, going through the COVID, the challenges posed by COVID, those issues in having the complete supply chain disrupted took years.
Of course, yeah, that's not a quick thing to fix.
No, it's not.
No.
And then what happened is that I believe you kind of have this nexus where those companies are really coming back out of that curve.
Yeah.
the demands are increasing, but then you have this additional demand in getting this proliferated set of assets up into space.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have a compounded problem, and I think we'll be able to catch up, but I think we're still 2-3 years away.
Yeah, it's really fascinating talking to people at this event, and especially with the new administration that's come in. Iron Dome announcement just dropped while we're all here, and it's sort of getting everyone's perspectives on how the industry is going to step up to that, and what challenges are there, but also the opportunities that await. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things shake out. But it's really interesting, again, hearing from Ursa and what you all are doing, and how there's a lot of opportunities there for you all.
Yeah, there really is. I think that between this new administration, and they're focused on defending the country in a integrated system approach, and what's going on in the world with respect to opening up the space economy, I think there's a lot of opportunity for companies like Ursa to really provide that level of reliability, affordability, and just overall partnership. So we're really excited about the future. And we're looking to see at this show, really to get a sense for like how are our other subsystem providers doing, what help do they need. So I guess my message to the group would be, if you are challenged with propulsion system or components, whether it's in space, whether it's any of the other domains, launch, hypersonics, solid rocket motors, we're here to help you fly faster.
Fantastic. Any parting thoughts? Floor is yours. Anything you want to close out with today?
Oh boy.
I know everyone hates that question, right? It's like,
yeah, I really think, just to hammer home maybe a couple of the other issues that we talked about,
sure,
or comments. I really think that we're laser focused. It's very easy to get distracted when there's so much opportunity. We have learned, Ursa's almost coming on 10 years, and we have learned to have tight focus on the things that matter to the defense industrial base and the country as a whole. And that really has been kind of a galvanizing point for us. So in-space propulsion, solid rocket motor technology, hypersonics, filling that kind of blank space where we're behind from some other countries, and launch engine technology. That's really our focus. So we are excited about what's ahead of us. And then, yeah.
No, it's always really cool to hear what you all are making. Every time there's a new announcement out from Ursa, it's honestly, it's like we're all cheering for you. So,
no, thanks. We really appreciate it. We've got a great culture of can-do attitude in Colorado. So thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. That's my job to thank you. You've been great. You have the harder job. I just get to listen. You have the hard job. So thank you so much for speaking with me today. And I always learn a lot. So thanks so much. It's been great.